Well, hello again, everybody. This is Scott with Kiss Wilderness, Florida, and I am going to go over today how I base how I pack. Some people don't know Dave Canterbury. He came up with the 5 C's of survivability, and it's cordage, combustion, container, cover, and cutting tool. And so every time I go out, whether it's for a day hike or whether it's an overnight, anything like that, I base it off of the 5 C's, and then I can add to that. So I'm going to show you what I use to hopefully give you some ideas on something that you might want to use. Now, when it comes to combustion, I love trying to be as minimalist as possible, and so I have when I'm just going around for day hikes, I have a little Exotac fire sleeve. I have the top dummy corded to it so I don't lose it, but around the top I have just some regular duct tape wrapped around, which acts as a really good tinder source. I also have a ranger band, but underneath the ranger band I have a small ferro rod and a small striker attached to the other side, in addition to the lighter, the Bic lighter itself. So this in my chest pack is usually what I use, but when I plan on going out for longer hikes, I have an actual fire kit that I usually carry with me, and it's in a little red bag for fire, and I wrote fire on it to try to make it as simple as possible. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what I always try doing. So in here I do have just a bunch of duct tape, which is good for tinder, plus everything else. Everything from patching up tarps to makeshift bandages, things like that. I have an additional lighter with some duct tape wrapped around it, a Bic lighter. I have some stormproof matches, kind of as a backup. These are, more of emergency use if it's too windy for the lighter or anything like that. These will strike and they will stay lit, even if dunked in water. And then I have a tinder box, and in the tinder box I have small chunks of fat wood that I can shave down or just use on their own. I have some store-bought fire tinders that you just start scraping them up, moving them around, getting them fluffed out so that they're easier to take a spark or a flame. But then I also have some homemade fire tinder that I made. These are just little cotton makeup circles, pads that you can get at the dollar store for real cheap. And then I just made a mix of, I melted out some candles and added some lighter fluid to it, maybe about a 60% wax, 40% lighter fluid mix. Heated all that up, mixed it all together in a pot, and then you just dip these in, lay them on some aluminum foil to be able to dry out. And then once they dry out, you just crack them, and you can fluff these out. You can cut them in half to extend them to use a smaller piece if you need to. But once these are fluffed up, you can scrape it with your knife and expose the cotton fibers inside. And with the lighter fluid in it, they strike up pretty quickly. So this is my long haul fire kit. So between that and the lighter that's inside of it, that covers combustion. Next is cutting tool. I went over these last week about knives. This is the Adventure that I had in the video last week. It's a very capable camping / bushcrafting knife. It does come with its own ferro rod, which is an additional point to combustion. But with this, the 90-degree spine can be used to either fluff up that tinder, scrape shavings off of the fat wood, and it can strike the ferro rod really easily. But this is also good for, if I have to, beaver chew some small saplings to make as a structure for my shelter. If I need firewood, this will help process some of that by batoning through it. I can use this for cutting cordage, for food prep, for anything like that. So this is the second C, cutting. third C is container. It's really just as simple as having a single wall stainless steel container. This, when I go out hiking, I'll take it with me, and I used to just carry the water, you know, for overnights. I would just pack my water, but this is really good because it's single wall. To like I stated before, you can use a bandana as a pre-filter to keep leaves and twigs out, but you fill this, and then you have your fire going. You just set this right in the fire and bring that water to a boil for about a minute, and it'll kill all the viruses, germs, protozoa, Giardia, cryptosporum. It'll purify that water so that you can drink it. Might not taste the best, but it will purify that water. It's not a filter. There's a difference between filtering and purifying. Boiling, absolutely without fail, will purify your water. Like I said, it just won't taste the greatest. What I have upgraded to is to go with the container. I have a Grail GeoPress that I use for purifying water. This will remove all of that plus the viruses. But then I have just a cup with a lid if I needed to boil additional water, or for my cooking. It comes with a lid and has the bat wing handles on it. This was a product from Pathfinder. They teamed up with Grail to make a cup that will specifically fit it, but I choose to use this now, the container, because I could make char cloth in this if I absolutely needed to. I use it mostly for heating up water for cooking. This is just a pre-filter that I can get wet, and I fill it up, and it pre-filters the water into my Grail to help prolong and extend the life of the filter that's inside of this. But this all nests right inside of each other and inside of a little pouch. So I have my water containment and cooking pretty much in here. So between these two, that covers container. I have cover. So cover, I like to carry a poncho, because a poncho, obviously, I can wear if it's raining to keep rain off of me. I can also use it as a rain fly, or just a simple tarp cover if it is raining, and say I'm with one of my kids or something like that, and we want to just stay dry. I can rig that up after closing and tying off the hood. Most of the times I'll carry just a small, this is a tent footprint, but it also works very well as a tarp, and this will provide cover from the sun. Out here in Florida, it gets today it's overcast, but mostly it's sunny all the time. So this I could whip up real quick between a couple of trees and a couple of stakes to make a lean-to type shelter, I guess, so that, you know, if it's super hot out, to make our lunch, to just rest for a little bit. If I'm out camping, I can use this as a rain cover over my hammock. It is large enough in a diagonal, like diamond pattern, to cover my hammock. This would go really well over a tent as well if we chose to use a tent. But the cover is something to sleep under. Not all the time do I carry something to sleep in or sleep on, because I don't plan on being out. But if I do, I always make sure to throw, I have one contractor sized garbage bag that I can fill with leaf debris or whatnot, to create a browse bed in case I needed to sleep overnight. And then I'll have an emergency bivvy with me. Most of the time it doesn't get cold enough here to require necessarily sleeping in something, but it does help just to keep your core body temperature warm throughout the night. So the fourth C is cover. The last C is cordage. The cordage is used for a variety of things. I have 550 cord that I have in here. The different colors you see are, this is a rapid ridgeline that can be strung up, and it's got a couple Prusik knots, one green, one black, for tying up if I needed to make an A-frame, or if I wanted to make that lean-to. I just break a couple sticks off and use them as toggles in the Prusiks. Now the Prusik can be moved by itself, but once it has tension on it, it does not move. So I do have a rapid ridgeline just for the cover setup, the tarp setup. I have additional bank line for if I want to hang a food bag if I'm staying overnight, or if I need to create a stronger shelter out of using some cut down sticks, wood. I can use these to tie these together to keep the A-frame and the support beam all tied together. I also have a Titan cord with me, which is a 550 cord, but it also has a fire tinder strip in it. It does have some fishing line in it, and it has very thin snare wire added into it. And then amongst that, I just have a random other cordage, micro cord and stuff like that, because cordage is really hard to replicate out in the woods, so it's easier just to bring it with, such as a container. A container is very hard to replicate out in the woods. A cutting tool is very hard to replicate out in the woods. Cover, you can make a debris shelter. It just takes a lot of time and burns a lot of calories, so it's fairly hard to replicate out in the woods. And then the combustion. I have zero practice at making a bow drill, and even if I did make a bow drill, I would still need cordage, which I could use a bootlace or something like that. But that's where the cordage comes into play as well. So for combustion, although you can make a bow drill, it is also very time consuming, burns a lot of calories. And so for combustion, that's why I choose to have matches, a lighter, and a ferro rod. I'm probably going to use the lighter first, and then I would use the ferro rod after that. The ferro rod does require some skill. You do have to strike it a certain way. There are, you can't, like I see a lot of folks just scraping it once, some just scrape it once at a time. It is something that you do need to practice with. So all 5 of those are hard to recreate out in the woods, so that's why I base whatever hiking bag I'm going to use, or camping bag or whatnot, I base it around the 5 C's, which again are cover, container, cutting tool, cordage, and combustion. Container, cover, combustion, cutting tool, cover. Yeah, you get it. Just watch over the video, because those 5 things are kind of difficult to recreate out in the woods. So if you have some other ideas on what you guys use, feel free to put them in the comments. If I provided some information that you didn't really know about, again, put it in the comments. If you see something that you don't like, they always say don't read the comments, put it in the comments. I always take constructive criticism. There's nothing wrong with that. So don't be afraid to get out in the woods. Hike, camp, explore. Keep it simple, stupid. Christ is king above all else, and I'll see you later.